I've had the pleasure of working closely with Maggie all these years. So take it away, Maggie.
All right, thanks, Regina. Just quick question. Are you seeing the slideshow? Have I done my share correctly?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
fantastic. Always just unsure if I have everything set up correctly. So, yeah, welcome everyone. I'm delighted to have you all here today. What I want to do is sort of focus more on planning, packing, like just some logistics, things you should, be prepared for on the trip rather than focusing on the itinerary. But if anybody does have questions about the itinerary, I'm happy to answer those once we get to the Q&A at the end of the PowerPoint here. So I will just get started. So the first thing is going to be your day of arrival. I had a quick look and it looks like everybody who has booked flights with AESU is going to be arriving into London Heathrow between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m., which is great. So everybody's arriving around the same time. Your tour director will be waiting for you in the arrivals hall in London, and there'll be a transfer from there to the hotel downtown. So one of the things that you will receive from us as part of your final documents is an invite to join a group messaging app called Band. And once you've joined that, you will be able to communicate with the tour director. So if you run into any issues at the airport in London, your bag is delayed or, the lines are just very, very long, you can always message the tour director through the Band app. And let them know where you are, and they can let you know where they're waiting for you as well. So just something to keep in mind that when you receive that invite to join Band, please do sign up for it because it's a tool that we use to keep you in touch with the tour director and the other members of your group. So we'll have the transfer to the hotel. Check-in is normally about 2 p.m. If the rooms are ready, they will let you check in right away. So you can go straight to your room, drop your bags, take a quick shower, maybe go out and start exploring. If they're not quite ready yet, when you get to the hotel, you can store your luggage in a secure room there at the hotel, and they'll take care of it for you, and you can come back in a couple of hours and then check into the hotel. The hotel we are using is the St. Giles. So for those of you who are traveling independently, it's very easy to get to the St. Giles. You would basically take the Elizabeth line from Heathrow to Tottenham Court Road, and then it's just a short walk, literally 2 minutes around the corner to the hotel. And if anybody wants a map or more detailed information on that, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to email that to you. One thing we ask everybody to do on the day of arrival is to call home. Call your parents, let them know that you arrived safely, and that you're ensconced in the hotel and having a good time, because they will be really worried about you and want to make sure that you got there safe and sound. And we don't want to come into lots of missed calls first thing in the morning at the office here, wondering if you guys got there. It's a little bit easier now that everybody has cell phones. In days past, maybe they didn't, and you'd have to email or actually find a payphone to call home. So if you bring your cell phone with you, just make sure you also work out a plan with your provider, so that you don't have a lot of high charges when you get home from your phone company. So you can get a plan for either a month, or some companies will offer like a daily plan. So you can give them a call and have a chat about that. So there'll be a notice at the hotel about the welcome orientation. Normally the tour director will host that about 5-6 o'clock, but there'll be a message for you at the hotel to let you know what time and where that will be happening. The tour director is going to go over some rules that we have on the tour, like not drinking on the bus, things like that, being on time, like Regina just mentioned. And then you'll all get to go out on a pub crawl that evening and see some fun pubs in London. You'll be in the Kensington area, which is great for sort of very traditional kind of Victorian pubs. So it'll be a fun evening out. One thing to keep in mind when landing in London is they have instituted a new system just in January of this year. So the UK boarding landing card that you used to have to complete, you will not have to complete anymore. Instead, you're going to have to sign up for what's called an ETA, an electronic travel I can't remember what the A stands for, authority, I think. And basically it's a pre-approval essentially of your passport information. Everybody should have gotten an email about this new regulation in the past couple of weeks. We'll also include the information with your final documents, and there'll also be information when you log into Band initially about this new procedure. It just started in January, so a lot of people aren't familiar with it, but basically you're going to log on or to their website or download their app. You'll fill out your information with your passport information, where you're staying, your date of birth, that kind of information, and then you basically get a pre-approval. They say you need to start that process 72 hours before departing the US. But you can do it at any point. So, I would try and get it out of the way as early as possible, just, so you don't forget about it or you're not, rushing, because you guys are all going to be very, very busy at the end of the month with your graduation, moving out of your lodging if you have to, moving home. So it may be something that you forget. So try and do it as early as possible. It's a very simple procedure and it costs about £15. And then the entry is good for, I believe, 3 years. So if you decide, say, next year to go back to the UK, or if you have a study abroad program or something like that, you won't have to do that again. It'll be good for multiple trips in and out of the UK. So with your final documents, which I believe have gone out already, I think they went out this week, you'll have your tour voucher. Just make sure that your tour voucher indicates the correct tour. Make sure it's either the 18-day or that ends in Rome, or the 23-day tour that ends in Athens, just to make sure that information is correct. You'll have your daily itinerary, so a bit more detailed information of where you'll be, how much time you'll have during your free time, the travel distances, etc. So a bit more details about what you'll be doing on a daily basis. Your hotel list will also be included. We would recommend that you leave a copy of that at home, either with family or friends, just in case anybody needs to get in touch with you and maybe you don't have data on your phone so they can't call. At least they'll have the hotel phone number to get in touch with you. So it's just a useful thing for your family to have. And definitely keep a copy with you as well, because you're going to be staying in 11 different hotels. So sometimes you will mix up the names of the hotel. And so, if you're coming back from a night out, you want to make sure you're giving the cab driver the right name of the hotel. So definitely something maybe just make a couple of copies of. There'll also be some information in there on a suggested packing list and some travel hints, letting you know kind of things that we think are important to bring with you. Things you can leave at home, and then some other useful hints, many of which we will go over here. So it'll be good to have it all in writing with your final documents. The TSA rules are also going to be included in there. If you haven't flown for a while, or if it's your first time ever flying, there are restrictions on what you can bring in your carry-on. So there is a limit to liquids and gels. So you just want to make sure you're aware of what those are. Put in your suitcase anything that is over the limit for TSA, because you don't want to start off your trip on a sour note, getting, we'll say, your bottle of perfume taken away from you because it's over the limit. So just make yourself familiar with those rules and you should have an easy transfer through security US side. So in terms of bringing money, everybody wants to know how much they're going to spend. We would estimate that people spend on average $60 to $80 a day. Now, lots of people will spend less than that, and some people will spend more than that. It's kind of an average of people spending. Things that we would include in that budget would be, you know, drinks when you go out for dinner, any food that's not included in the tour. So you'll have breakfast every day, and roughly half of your evening meals are included. And there's a couple of lunches, but other than that, you know, you will be responsible for other meals. So you just want to be cognizant of that. Any sightseeing or museums that are not included in the itinerary that you may want to visit, and your transportation, like your Uber for coming home late at night, those would be kind of things that we would factor into that $60 to $80 a day. So as I mentioned, some people will definitely spend less and some people will spend more. If you're trying to stay on a tighter budget, your tour director is going to be a great resource. They have been to all these places many, many times. They've also been on a budget. So they're a great resource for letting you know of like fun food stalls to go, you know, go and get a crepe for a couple of euros when you're in Paris. You know, if you don't normally have a, you know, 3-course sit-down lunch when you're in East Lansing, and that can get very expensive when you're in Paris. So, you know, go get something from a food stall, or go to the grocery store where you can get like some amazing, say, cheese and wine and bread, and go have a picnic. So definitely there's ways to keep that budget in check. A couple of things that we wouldn't really have planned for in that budget would be like any expensive souvenirs, like theater performances where tickets can be expensive, or, you know, the fancy 3-course lunch out. Those would be things that we would not really cover in that $60 to $80 a day. So for you right now in planning for your trip, the first and most important thing is make sure that your documents are in order. Everybody's passport will need to be valid through the end of 2025. Basically, it needs to be valid for 6 months after your return to the US, so through the end of the year. So if you haven't looked at your passport in a while, now is a good time to just take a look and just make sure that it is still within that validity. If you show up to the airport in Detroit and your passport expires in August, you could be denied boarding, and then have to go and get an emergency passport the next day, which is expensive. They may charge you to change your ticket. So all of those costs will add up. So better to do it now, when you still have a little bit of time to get a new passport if you need one. If you have a US or Canadian...
Hey,
Sorry,
hey,
Regina?
Maggie, can I interject here? Can I interject here quickly?
Sure.
Okay, when you were talking about the passport, it cut out on my end. I don't know if it cut out for other people. But could you mention where the date that it needs to be valid through, just so that I make sure that it can be heard?
Yep, sure, not a problem. Sorry about that. Your passport
okay.
needs to be valid for 6 months after your return to the US. So some people don't realize that. And, you know, you can be denied boarding at the airport if it doesn't have that validity. So just make sure that your passport is good through the end of 2025, and you should be fine. And you still do have time to get a new passport. You'll have to get probably expedited, but you still do have time to get a passport. And that is a better option than showing up to the airport with the passport that doesn't have that validity, because they may deny boarding, make you get a new passport, pay to change your ticket, etc. So it can be quite expensive. So definitely check on that. If you're holding a US or Canadian passport, other than the new ETA to get into the UK, you're not required to have any other visas. So just your valid passport and your ETA, and you are good to travel. If you have a passport from another country, you may need visas. So I'm hoping that is in place already if we do have anybody holding a foreign passport. Bringing your credit cards and your...
One more question.
Yeah.
One more question. Okay, I have somebody that has to leave early, and so she had a question.
Okay.
So she she's not taking the AESU flights, but is arriving around the same time. Can she still take the transfer to the hotel?
Yeah, if you can email me, my email address, it's just maggie@aesu.com. If you email me with your flight details, we just need to make sure that you're coming into like the same terminal around the same time, or if it's a different
Okay,
terminal, that there's
you're
enough
cutting
time.
out again on my end, so,
Oh, I'm so sorry. I
okay.
don't know
I don't
what
know
might be
if it's
causing
cut out
that.
for other people. Yeah, I don't know if it's for
Um,
anyone else. I just know on my end it happens to be cutting out. So can you repeat all that again? I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem. Yes, we may be able to add the transfer for you, but you would just need to email me your flight reservation, just so that we want to make sure that you are arriving either into the same terminal around the same time as the group, or if it's into a different terminal, that you still will have enough time to switch terminals to meet the tour director. So you can email me at maggie@aesu.com. And I will let you know if we have room and if your flights will work for the transfer. And I believe it's $45.
Maggie, it sounds like other people, it's fine on other people's end. It must be on my end. So continue.
Okay. Sorry, Regina. So yeah, so that's the transfers. The credit cards, we would recommend bringing a credit card plus a debit card. Your credit card is probably going to be accepted most places you go, but for some smaller stores, or for street vendors, you may need to have some cash. So bring your debit card so that you can withdraw some cash from a local ATM. You want to advise both of the banks, your credit card and your debit card bank, that you're going to be traveling overseas, because you don't want either of those cards to be flagged for fraud and then for them not to work. So definitely do that. Most banks now, you can even do it online. You don't even have to make the phone call. You can just indicate online that you're going to be traveling and where you're going to be going. Make sure, or at least check, if your credit card has international transaction fees. That can get quite expensive because they will put that fee on every single transaction that you make with your credit card. So if you plan on using your credit card for pretty much all of your purchases, those fees can really add up. And you still have time to ask your bank if they have another credit card that you can get which does not have those fees. In general, cards that are branded for travel, airlines, hotels, they don't generally have international transaction fees. So definitely check on that. And then with your debit card, you're only going to be in London for a couple of days, so you don't need don't need a lot of British pounds. But when you get to Europe and you start to use euros, you'll be using that for the rest of the trip. So you can withdraw enough to last you, 4 or 5 days, and then that will cut down on any debit card fees that there may be. For your phone, more than likely you do not have an international data plan on your phone, unless you're with T-Mobile. Most T-Mobile plans do have some international data included. It is 3G, however, so you're probably not going to be watching, movies on your phone or anything with 3G data in Europe, but it definitely will allow you to, use your phone, send texts, let your, text home, let everybody know you're doing well, and send photos, things like that. I would recommend calling your phone company and just checking on whether you have international data, and if not, what the cost would be to add it. If you don't want to add data, you can rely on Wi-Fi for the entire tour. Wi-Fi is widely available in Europe, just like it is here. However, you probably will come across dead spots, every now and again. So, you probably won't have Wi-Fi 100% of the time, but you should have it quite often. Definitely check your flights a couple of days ahead of time and make sure that there's been no last-minute schedule changes. Sometimes, especially if it's over a weekend and small schedule changes come through, we may not get to process them until Monday. So if you're flying on a Sunday, check on a Friday night or a Saturday morning just to make sure there's been no changes. If you get an alert on the day of travel, that your flight has been canceled or changed in a way that like affects your international flight, please still go to the airport. The best way to get on an alternative flight is to be at the airport in front of an agent. You're more likely to get rebooked quickly that way. Don't stay at home and wait for the airline to send you the new flight, because more than likely they're going to book you on something that probably is not going to get to London for at least a day or two after you need to be there. So please go to the airport. If we have booked your flight, we have access to them. So generally we would be aware if there was any flight cancellations or anything like that on day of travel. And we'll reach out to you either via Bend or by email and let you know what flights have been rebooked for you. If you book flights yourself, or if it's 2 a.m., please message the tour director and let the tour director know that your flight is going to be delayed coming in. Generally they will usually check anyway, but it's always a good idea to maybe just post something on Band and just say, the flight from Chicago was running, 30 minutes late or whatever. They appreciate that. But in general, if there's any major issues, we would be aware of it and we will be in touch with you during the travel day. So let's see here. So for your free time, if you look on the website, we do have suggestions of things to do during your free time. The best way to maximize your time in Europe is at least to have some plan ahead of time of what you want to do in the various cities. Is there a specific museum you want to go to see? If there's a concert or something like that, that's your must do while you're in Europe, then pre-plan those items, because you'll waste a lot of time if you're sitting in Paris and trying to figure out what you want to do when you do have limited time. It's like you're going to see an awful lot of Europe in a relatively short period of time. So if you can structure your free time before you leave, you'll get much more out of the trip. You'll see a lot more if you have a plan ahead of time. So those suggested free time activities are great, to give you an idea of what you may like to do. Some other travelers have suggested Travel Talk, which I'm not familiar with, but apparently they have great ideas for things to do during your free time. Or you could just go old school and get a guidebook from the library and have, a look through and see what interests you, and you can plan it ahead of time. Some museums can be quite busy. So again, if you can make a reservation in advance and get a time slot to enter, that's, will free up other time. You won't have to stand in line for an hour or two to get in if you already have pre-purchased your ticket. Museums that can get quite busy, obviously the Louvre when you're in Paris, and the Academia when you're in Florence do get very busy. So those are museums that we would suggest, reserving ahead of time and getting a timed entrance. So for packing, we allow everybody to have one checked bag and one carry-on, just because we've limited space on the motor coach. So we just need to keep it to one checked bag and one carry-on. If you've purchased flights with AESU, your ticket will also include one checked bag and one carry-on. Your checked bag can be no more than £50 for the airline. And you don't want it to be more than that anyway, because you're going to have to take it, from the bus into your hotel room, maybe up a flight or two of stairs. So, pack as light as possible. Everybody packs too much. When you're there, if you see the photographs on here, everybody is in jeans and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt. So everybody always brings too many clothes, and they end up wearing, casual clothes that are comfortable and are easy to wear while you're, on a very fast-paced tour. You'll need an adapter. You can buy a universal adapter relatively inexpensively, maybe $15, $16 from the luggage section of a department store or online. We would recommend not taking anything that requires a converter. Things like hair straighteners are notorious for even with a converter still blowing out. So we really don't recommend bringing anything that requires a converter. But if you do, you'll need to purchase one because the voltage is different in Europe to the US. And if you plug in a device, it will fry it basically. So a converter is generally more expensive. It's about $40 or $50, and they tend to be a little bit heavy too. So if you can not bring one, that's the ideal way to go. If you have any prescription medication that you're bringing with you, please leave it in either the original packaging or bring a copy of your prescription with you. Just you don't want to have like a Ziploc bag with a bunch of pills in it when you're going through customs. So just keep a copy of your prescription. It's also good to have it just in case if you lose your medicine, you know, or you need to get a refill, having the prescription will make your life a lot easier. And definitely bring your student ID. Lots of places in Europe give discounts to students. So I know you're all just graduating, but bring your student ID and I'm sure it'll be useful to you to get discounts. Bookstores, coffee shops, like a lot of bars, places like that will have discounts for students. So things that we would recommend that you don't take, if you don't need your laptop or any large kind of like electronic things, don't bring them. You know, there's going to be how many ever 30 people on the trip in 11 different hotel rooms, on many buses and ferries. Somebody's going to forget something and leave it behind, and you don't want it to be you and your laptop because they're expensive. So if you can leave it at home, please do. Expensive jewelry, you know, class rings, anything like that, that you would be, you know, very upset if you lost it, just leave them at home. Because if you do leave something on the motor coach or, you know, something on a train, the chances of us being able to get it back are relatively slim, to be honest. Some people still ask about traveler's checks, although they're like really not as widely used as they once were. They're hard now to convert into cash. So, you know, maybe if your grandparents offer you some traveler's checks, maybe ask them for cash in lieu or cash them before you leave the US, because it is kind of difficult to exchange them for cash now. And as I mentioned, the hair dryers, things, you know, hair straighteners, curling irons really don't do well with either a converter or just plugging them into the wall. If you have to have one, I would suggest, you know, just buying one when you're there, buying a cheap hair straightener when you're there, and at least that way you know it will work and you won't fry it in the outlet. So in your checked bag with your 50 pounds, these are things that we think that you should bring. You know, definitely bring a portable battery pack with you so that you can keep your phone charged during the day, and maybe bring like an extra charger with you just in case you lose yours. A couple of empty Ziploc baggies or grocery bags are fantastic just for, you know, if you've wet clothes to put them in or dirty clothes that you want to keep separate from your clean clothes. Just a grocery bag is fantastic for things like that. You will probably have access to laundry facilities a couple of times on the trip, but if you do pack light and you plan on like rinsing out your, you know, maybe a t-shirt or some underwear at the hotel, and they're not quite dry the next day, then you can just chuck them in your grocery bag and dry them out at the next hotel stop. Bring a refillable water bottle. There's definitely places to fill your water bottle everywhere you go, or you can be you know, thrifty and purchase like a 2-liter bottle of water and then just which is not practical to carry around, but then you can use that to refill your water bottle. It gets expensive if you just keep buying, you know, those small little 8-ounce water bottles. That really does add up. So definitely, you know, either buy a big water bottle and refill yours, or just use the refill stations at hotels and things like that. Definitely bring sunscreen with you, maybe some like, you know, ibuprofen, some Band-Aids, just some like rudimentary kind of like first aid things that you may want to have with you. And if you're traveling with a friend, a great thing to do is split up those kind of things. You know, somebody bring the sunscreen and somebody else bring the painkillers, you know, that kind of thing, so that not everybody is carrying everything. Your swimsuits, You will need those, especially if you're going to Greece, because you will be in the water a lot when you're there. We would recommend maybe one nice outfit for going out, especially if you plan on going to the Moulin Rouge. They like people to be dressed up nice. So maybe one button-down shirt for our male travelers, and then maybe one nice dress or dress pants for our female travelers. Definitely comfortable shoes. Lots of streets are going to be cobbles, and walking in, high heels or any type of uncomfortable shoe is not ideal. So definitely bring some walking shoes with you. To kind of extend the life of your clothes so that you don't have to go to the laundromat as often. A wrinkle release spray, tight to go pen, those kind of things are very helpful to sort of extend the life of your t-shirts by another day or two. You probably will need a raincoat and umbrella, especially in London and Paris are probably the most likely places that you will see rain. And then just some things that are helpful, for those travel days where you're maybe on the bus for, a few hours, and to kind of get around boredom, your Kindle or a book or a journal, those kind of things to kind of while away the time while you are traveling. A money belt is a great idea. Many people don't know about them, or they've seen big, fanny pack type looking ones, but you can buy a money belt that sits flat to your stomach underneath your clothes, and it's the best way to carry your money so that you don't get pickpocketed. And you can buy one of those in the luggage section of a department store, and it really is a great idea to have one of those. At least that'll be one thing that you don't have to concern yourself with. That your money, your passport is safe in your money belt. So a couple of other things to know, your tour directors, you will need to, it's customary to tip your tour director and your bus driver. We will take care of tipping your local guides, but if you do feel that they did an amazing job and you want to tip them, feel free. Tipping in restaurants and bars is not like here. It's not like kind of 15 to 20%. Normally people will just kind of round up a little bit. So, if you had a couple of drinks or something like that, and it's like 17 euros, people will leave 20, and not expect, will just leave the change from that. But your servers will not expect to get, a 20% tip from you at all. So don't worry about that. For laundry, as I mentioned, you will have laundry facilities along the way. Your tour director will kind of let you know good places to do it. Austria is generally a great spot because the hotels will normally do a whole bag for you at like a flat fee. So you just pack as many things as you can into the laundry bag, and it's a flat rate. Definitely try local foods. And be aware of local customs. When you're in, say, a cathedral, something like that, or religious spot, they don't want bare shoulders, so you'll want to have like a little shawl or something that you can put over your shoulders, or for male travelers, no tank tops going into religious sites, that kind of thing. And definitely try the local food. The food in Europe is fantastic. You will see lots of things that maybe you're not accustomed to, but give them a go. Like, people eat them all the time, and you never know, you might find that you do love snails. So definitely try them out. It's also a great way to keep your costs down, as I mentioned, to go to a supermarket or to like a boulangerie, and get, fresh baked bread, get some delicious cheese, have a picnic. You're trying local things, you're eating like locals do. Most people in Europe don't sit down and have a full meal at lunch. They may just have like some soup and or a salad. And so you just eat like local people do. And, you'll meet more people doing that way than going to like a McDonald's. You'll meet local people, try new things. So it's definitely a great idea. The band app, as I mentioned earlier, is really important for staying in touch with your fellow travelers, but also your tour director is going to post your daily itinerary there. So they'll let you know what time you have to be up in the morning, what you're going to be doing, anything that they feel is relevant, you know, that you need to know for the day. They'll all post that in the band app. So definitely make sure that you download that. So here is how it will work. You'll basically receive an invitation, and you will need to put in your phone number and your name, and then you'll be joining the group. As you can see here, this is kind of what it's going to look like on this side. You can see here, this was our tour director, Jessie, from last year, and she wrote down exactly what you're going to be doing that day, you know, detailed time, let everybody know what's happening. And then you can also use it, you know, to post photos, interact with the other members of the group, coordinate activities. You know, I want to go to the Eiffel Tower today. Does anybody want to come with me? Those kind of things. So it's very, very useful, and definitely a great way to stay in touch, and also just a good safety feature in case you get, you know, separated from the group. You'll always have a way to get in touch with everyone. We will be having a photo contest this year. We do one every year. So your tour director, again, will let you know what the procedure is going to be. But basically, you just want to tag us in your pictures. And then we have a couple of categories like your school spirit and video. And we will give out prizes at the end of the summer for those winners. Wi-Fi is not guaranteed. However, most hotels do have Wi-Fi. The only thing is really whether it's free of charge everywhere or just in the public spaces in the hotel. But really it is as widely available in Europe as it is here. And then there's coffee shops, museums have Wi-Fi, bars, restaurants, all have Wi-Fi. A lot of the times you'll find that they want you to put in an email address. So, you know, now might be the good time to make like a Gmail account, myeuropeantrip@gmail.com or something, for all of those places that are going to ask for an email address, just so you don't get a lot of spam when you come back. So now I see we do have a couple of questions in here. So let me have a look at those. Well, it looks like Regina maybe has answered those for me. So thank you. But I am happy to answer questions from anybody who has one.
Hi, just a quick question. I know you mentioned it's probably not a great idea to bring a laptop, which I understand, but like if I'm still going through things with school or job search, like it's not the end of the world if I bring one, right? I just have to be careful.
No. You can definitely bring one. It's, you know, up to you completely. You know, but just keep in mind that, you know, you will have to carry it. So it's just another weight that you'll have to carry. You know, when you get to the hotel, generally the bus driver can pull up right in front. Occasionally there'll be a street that's pedestrian only, so the bus driver may have to park at the end of the block and you walk down to the hotel. So just keep in mind that you may have to carry your luggage, you know, a little ways, and just keep that in mind when you're packing. But yes, you can bring your laptop, not a problem. Double check, especially if it's an older laptop, if you need a converter. Most newer ones, you do not need a converter, but it's always a good idea to just double check to make sure that it'll be okay using the sockets in Europe. So you may not need a converter, but you still will need the adapter.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So Maggie, so for example, for that, do most of the hotels have safes on the chance that people want to secure their valuables?
Yes, the hotels will all have a safe, but it may be in the reception area or in your room. So just when you get into your room, just have a quick look in the closet is generally where they are. There'll be instructions in there on how the safe works. If there is no safe and you do have valuables that you want to put away somewhere, you can ask them at reception, and hotels, usually have a safe at reception that you can put your items in. Also, if anybody has medication that needs to stay refrigerated, most of the hotels will have fridge facilities, either again in your room, or they can take it from you at reception and put it in a cold storage area for you.
Any other questions?
For hair tools, mine says that it goes up to 240 VT. That would be fine to bring, right?
I don't want to tell you that it's safe to bring just because I am not an expert in electronics. But you know, we have found that of all of the things that don't do well, you know, with the different voltage in Europe, it generally tends to be things like hair straighteners, curling irons, that sort of thing. The hotels will all have hair dryers, so if it's just a hair dryer you want to bring, you really don't need to. But maybe send a quick email to like the manufacturer. Most manufacturers have like a contact us page where you can just post, like send a question and just confirm with them that also, you know, if it does fry, maybe give you a little bit of comeback when you get back to the US. But I really don't want to tell you that your, you know, $300 Dyson curling iron will survive, just in case it doesn't. So I would definitely check with the manufacturer on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there isn't a question in the chat. Do we need to book the optional activities like the whitewater rafting, Moulin Rouge, so forth ahead of time? Do you want to can
No,
you kind
you
of go over
don't.
that for us, Nick?
Yeah. So you will get in your final documents a description and the price of each of the optional activities. And then during your orientation session in London, you will go over those with the tour director, and they will let you know when the last date is to purchase those. So we'll say for the whitewater rafting, they may tell you, you know, no later than Amsterdam, you have to let me know whether you're doing the whitewater rafting or not. So they will let you know exactly when you need to have purchased those by, and you basically will pay your tour director in cash. And your tour director for this trip, her name is Nicoletta, and she has done this tour quite a few times. So she really is familiar with all of the places that you're going to be going to, and is great for advice. So you'll have fun with Nicoletta on the tour.
Any other questions?
For the ETA, what dates do we put down like to provide that will be in the UK for?
Yeah, so you want to put your arrival date down, which for this trip is going to be May 8th. So that is going to be your arrival date into the UK, and you'll be there for 2 days. So that's probably all the information that they will need, other than like your personal information, like your passport.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I hope I haven't made the ETA sound like it's difficult, because it's very, very easy. It's very self-explanatory, and it isn't like a visa where, you know, you might have to go and have an interview with the embassy staff or anything like that. It's very much an automated system. The US has had one of these systems in place for international travelers coming here for, God, I'd say at least 10 years, if not longer now. And it's like just a reciprocal arrangement. So it's very, very easy. Everybody coming to the US does this. So, you know, it's not a difficult procedure at all. It's just, unfortunately, another step that you have to go through before you get to Europe.
For the you said like we should book some of the like museums and stuff like ahead of time. I know we have like an idea of like we'll be busy during the day or like the evenings are free. How do you think we should go about booking like times for those then? Because you have to select like specific times.
Right. So pretty much in all of the major cities that you'll be visiting, you'll have we'll take Paris, for instance. The day you get to Paris, you'll have like your kind of your sightseeing overview, and then the following day will be your free day. Now we do offer a free excursion to a perfume museum in the morning. That's, you know, you don't have to join that if you don't want to. So, you know, we'll say that day in Paris that's listed as your free day, you can book your entrance any day there. Generally, if there's an excursion in the morning, it's normally what we would call a half-day excursion, and generally that's from about 9 to lunchtime. So then if you want to book a museum for the afternoon, you know, maybe think an hour for lunch or so, so go like 3 o'clock or later for your entrance.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you do have any very specific museum that you want to see, or a very specific question about timing, please feel free to, you know, again, shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer that. We have to be somewhat vague in terms of timing, just because, you know, we can run into things like bad traffic, you know, that we get stuck in traffic for an extra hour or two, you know, things like that can happen, which is why we don't provide absolute specific times in the itinerary. But if you send me an email and let me know where exactly you are trying to go and when, I'll be able to kind of give you an idea based on past trips when the best time to book would be.
Any other questions? One of the things I do would like to recommend to take seriously is pickpocketers. As Maggie mentioned, it's good to have some type of money belt or something like a crossbody bag with zippers on it, because pickpocketers are very savvy, especially in the larger cities, and they can easily grab something out of an open purse or a back pocket. If you keep your wallet in your back pocket, I strongly suggest you do not do that. So you just want to make sure that you protect your valuables, your money and so forth. So, and credit cards and so forth. So I really strongly do recommend that you get some type of money belt or so forth to protect those. So.
Absolutely. And one of the good things actually about traveling right now is what we called, I suppose, fanny packs or bum bags back in the day, back in like the 90s, are sort of back in fashion now. So you can find those in lots of fashion stores now. They're those, you know, and people wear them across their body rather than around their waist now. And those are ideal because you can fit a whole bunch in there. You know, if you are you know, we'll say arrive in London and you have your passport on you and you have your money and your phone and everything like that, it will all fit into one of those. I'm still calling them bum bags. I'm not sure what you all call them these days, but it's the ideal thing really, because, you know, you can have it in front of you. So if anybody tries to get at it, you can see them immediately. So it's like really great that they're back in fashion, and I would recommend everybody have one.
Okay, Maggie, would you mind mentioning talking about, we have 18 from Michigan State going on this trip. Is that correct? 18, 20? Anyway, we do have others from other universities joining us. So would you like to mention a little bit about that, Maggie?
Yeah, so we do have, I think a total of, oh, how many do we have on here? I think we have 26 in total on the group. So Michigan State, or by, you know, you're the biggest part of this group. The other travelers will be coming from NC State University. So hopefully you guys, maybe, I don't know if you have a rivalry in some sport or another, which would make for some fun travel days. But you know, they're all graduating seniors just like you guys, so you'll have a ton in common with them. As I mentioned, they are a smaller group, so, you know, hopefully you'll integrate them into your larger group. But we find that you know, you're all the same age, you all have, you know, this experience in college in common, and everybody makes fast friends on the trip. So, you know, we would hope that everybody would get along. Occasionally we do run into problems, you know, that maybe somebody's a night owl and another person is a morning person in the same room together. And if that happens, please talk to Nicoletta and just say, you know, can we switch rooms? Is there somebody else that I'd be better suited with? Because we want you guys to have a great time on the tour. And if it's something like that, that can be easily resolved, please do that. You know, your tour director would be happy to help. She wants happy travelers on the trip as well, and she doesn't want to have somebody who, you know, has been up all night because they couldn't sleep because their roommate was coming and going at all hours. So, you know, if that does happen to you, you know, please let them know. We do have a rooming list that we send to the hotels, which indicates your roommate. But, you know, we can switch that, your tour director can switch that around for you. So, or if you do it informally yourselves, you know, that you're like, oh, I'd rather room with you and you'd rather room with them. So let's just do that. Just let your tour director know that you have switched rooms around, because if somebody is trying to get in touch with you and they can't, you know, then they're going to be calling us. So, and we need to know what room you're in. So just let them know if you make any changes like that. You know, we just want to make sure that everybody has the best time on the trip. And if it's something, you know, as easy to fix as that, please do it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that now, Maggie. Do you want to review the roommate assignments? I know some of you that have signed up have already indicated who you wanted to room with, but I believe there are others that haven't. And so that might be good now if you were to mention who is assigned
Right,
with
so
who.
my rooming list doesn't indicate who selected somebody. So if there's anybody who didn't select somebody, if they just want to let me know and I can tell you who your roommate is. All right, well, maybe everybody did.
Okay.
Would you be able to show us on the screen or read it off?
Is it, I'm sorry, is this Lillian who?
Oh yeah, Liliana. I signed up for someone, but I just wanted to make sure that that's who I was with. But just making
Okay,
sure.
I have you rooming with, and Natalie, is that right?
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Mhm.
I also would like to know who I'm rooming with.
Okay, and you're Colin?
Yes.
You are with Jacob.
Cool. All right.
Good. Jacob Green, okay.
I'm curious too,
Any
just
other?
reach out. I'm Sean.
Sean, okay. Are you Sean Murray? Or do we have more than one Sean up
Chapman.
there?
My last name's Chapman, but my middle name's Murray, so
Okay, all right, that's what it is then. Where did you go here? Sean Murray Chapman. And I have you rooming with Michael Logan?
Are there any others?
Okay, and there's just a message here from Celeste to say that she didn't select someone. So I have a note here, Celeste, that you wanted to share with Riley. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So we have you with Riley. Is there any other questions?
Okay, well, if you do have any other questions, feel free. You can either reach out to to me, or you can reach out to Maggie directly. Maggie, your email is maggie@aesu.com, correct?
That's it. Yeah, it's Maggie, MAGGIE at AESU.com, Apple Edward Sam Uniform.com. Oh, hold on. I think somebody else has a message on here. So
Oh, okay.
For cadre. Sorry, the light in here is terrible, so I'm having a hard time reading here. I have you rooming with Emily Padra. So yeah, so I think that's good. All right, well, thank you guys all so much for booking with us. We are delighted for you all to experience Europe this summer. You're going to have the best time. So, you know, send us tons of pictures. As you can see from this presentation, we don't use commercial pictures. We use our past travelers. So please send us your pictures and join the photo contest. It was great to see you, Regina.
Okay, thank you,
so
Maggie.
much.
All right. All right.
Bye,
And
have a
so
great
all of you,
time.
if you could stay on. Yeah, if you could all stay on, I do have another person to introduce. Maggie, can you unshare your screen? There we go. Okay. I'd like all of you to, I'd like to introduce Ganu Lo. She is our social media content person. And so she would like to present an opportunity for you during the tour. Go ahead, Ganu.
Great. Thank you, Regina. Hi, everyone. I'm Ganu. I am the Director of Social Media within University Advancement. So I work mainly with alumni, donors, and friends of the university. And I've been in my role for about a year now and just recently learned about the Essentials Europe trip. And my team, we are always looking for content creators, especially new and young alums who are graduating and participating in these types of opportunities that MSU is a part of. So I basically am here to just kind of share that if you are interested in helping create content, whether video or photos for the alumni office, we would love to partner with you. Our incentive for this would be any type of MSU merch that we have in stock or we can purchase to gift you. So right now, the list that I have is apparel, backpack, water bottle, and also to open to any ideas that you may have for incentive for this opportunity. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to share. I do have an example of the type of content we are looking for when it comes to photos and videos. Unfortunately, I'm not able to share my screen due to some admin issues, but I will share that with Regina and she'll send it over to all of you after this meeting. So if you're interested, please reach out via email by this Friday, and we'll love to set up a meeting and kind of figure out if we can move forward with this partnership. Oh, Regina, you're muted.
Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you, Ganu, very much. So as she mentioned, I will be sending an email out, also with a link to this recording of this presentation on the chance that you want to review or listen to what Maggie may have mentioned before. So that it takes a little time to convert the video over so I can share it. So that will be in the next day or so, and I will include the information from GNU regarding that. Also, too, if you recall that I did ask you to sign up for our Bright Crowd photo page and bio page, and so you can go there, and I will send a reminder about that as well. You can also add photos there if you like to share and so forth. So you'll be receiving that email soon. Another thing I do want to mention too is along with taking any type of creating any type of social content and photos, I would love for one of you to take one of our Michigan State flags with you so that you can take group photos with the flag and any way that you like in front of wonderful scenic spots. So I will remind you of this also in the email, and for the first person that responds to me that they'd like to take the flag, I will send that to you. So, okay, if you do have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will make sure that I get the answers from Maggie and pass those along to you. If you have any other questions, let me know. If you do right now, go ahead. We can get those answered for you, or if you want to wait until or think about it some more, then we will make sure that we get those answered for you. This is a fantastic trip. We've had a lot of people over the years that have really enjoyed it. They say they make friends for a lifetime, so I hope that's the case again for you, that you do enjoy it and have a wonderful time. And wherever you go, go green. So take care and thanks again. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.